Kedengaran? Ini ada suara. Di sini di unmute ya, Mas ya? Di sini unmute. Rekor. Kedengaran di sini? Itu kedengaran? Ini mute ya? Enggak kok, ini unmute. Itu udah full.
Halo, tes.
Ada suaranya kok? Ada.
Halo, halo. Bagus ya suaranya.
Luarnya kalau mau lihat
ya, enggak, di luar aja sebenarnya enggak betul. Kalau sebenarnya gampang sih. Mbak Le, apa bisa keluar sebentar, ya. Saya ngomong dengar nggak gitu? Gitu. Halo, tes tes. Dengar nggak? Tes. Halo, tes. Dengar?
Nah, dari situnya kita ngomong di sini kedengeran.
Halo, tes. Bagus nggak? Halo. Cek.
Videonya, video Mas.
Tadi
Video Mas Nadiem, Mas Menteri udah.
Dicek ya?
Udah ya.
Dicek. Tadi oh, belum, udah nggak usah datang. Ini suaranya, nama bacanya.
Ya kalau kita perintahkan.
Oh iya, dulu Paknya ada ya?
Ada.
And show our video. Should now be able to hear us, and that's your.
But they're still off.
They're on mute now. So, can everyone hear us?
It's all right.
Hide your video for the moment.
Belum formal.
Hello, good. Test. Okay, good. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and warm Indonesian welcome to this conference entitled Launch of Joint Lecture Series that will be conducted by IPB University and Monash University. We hope that you, your families, and communities are keeping safe and well amid the pandemic of COVID-19. My name is Nunung Nuryartono, and it is my honor and privilege to welcome you all. During the pandemic of COVID-19, it is a whole new ball game in all aspects, including the field of education. The learning platforms are changing rapidly. E-learning has emerged as the new trend of regular classes are replaced by using education technology, including online learning, television, and testing to support access to remote learning and avoid face-to-face meeting and learning as much as possible. Academics have had to adapt to this change. Meanwhile, this old method, which actually has been used worldwide, such as use Skype and Microsoft Teams offline, now it is a regular and popular method, also giving us an easier practical opportunity to conduct the collaboration in between IPB University and Monash University, including the joint lecture. Good afternoon, Professor Margaret Gardner and Professor Arif Satria, and President Board of Trustee, Professor Tridoyo Sumastanto, who will also give on the second week of joint lecture series. Now it is my honor to welcome the Minister of Education and Culture, Republic of Indonesia, Bapak Nadiem Makarim, who is the founder of Gojek and online-based transportation company. Bapak Nadiem is well known as Mas Menteri, meaning Bro Minister. His ongoing support and dedication is very much appreciated by all, and without his constant and untiring effort, we would certainly not be able to achieve an excellent result with we have. Now, time for our minister to give and deliver opening remarks.
Hello, Professor Arif Satria, Rector of Institute Pertanian Bogor, Professor Margaret Gardner, Vice Chancellor of Monash University, distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of us. It is my pleasure to deliver an opening remark at this very important event, the launching of joint lecture series conducted by Institute Pertanian Bogor and Monash University. Allow me to congratulate both IPB and Monash for this great initiative. The fact that this event takes place amid COVID-19 pandemic speaks for itself. It demonstrates that no matter how challenging the situation is, our effort to advance the quality of Indonesian education must go on. Nothing, not even the global pandemic, can stop us from doing that noble work. As a Javanese proverb says, rawa-rawa rantas, malang-malang putum, which means we'll overcome any obstacle that lies ahead of us. This is the exact same spirit embodied in every decision that we in the Ministry of Education and Culture have made. We want to make sure that our educational system remains functional despite the pandemic, while ensuring the safety and health of the students, teachers, parents, and community as a whole. In light of this background, the Ministry of Education and Culture, together with the Task Force for Accelerating the Handling of COVID-19, have recently issued a joint decree on guidelines for new academic year learning activities during COVID-19 pandemic. The guidelines serve as a reference for education institutions in conducting learning activities during the new normal era, with the understanding that the education of our students should not be conducted at the expense of the safety and well-being of our society as a whole. Education, after all, is first and foremost about people, about enhancing their quality as a human being. Hence, there is no point in education if it only endangers the very people that we want to educate. That's why the initiative by IPB and Monash University to conduct the joint lecture series through online platform is exemplary. With this initiative, IPB and Monash have provided a good model on how international cooperation can be further enhanced during the pandemic. We hope that this model can be replicated by other universities. By focusing on what we can do rather than what we cannot do, IPB and Monash University show that creativity knows no limits, that opportunities are always there for those who can think creatively, no matter how challenging the situation. For the closing remarks, I want to call all of us to maintain our level of optimism. This pandemic will hopefully not stay forever. In the meantime, let's do our best to make sure that our educational system remains functional and creative and innovative. Stay healthy, stay strong, stay educated. Thank you.
Unfortunately, Pak Menteri has a hearing with the and so he's not able to join directly in this event. However, at least there are three important words: creativity, innovation, optimistic, and one more: international collaboration. And now let us welcome Professor Margaret Gardner, Vice Chancellor and President of Monash University in 2014. She has extensive academic experience, having held various leadership positions in Australian universities, including the RMIT, University of Queensland. The Griffith University are also located in 3 campuses in Queensland. In January 2020, Professor Gardner was appointed as a companion of the Order of Australia for her eminent service to tertiary education through leadership and innovation in teaching and learning, research, and financial sustainability. Congratulations, Professor Gardner. And Professor Margaret, please take it away from here.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yes. Thank you, and thank you very much for that warm introduction. And I'm very pleased to hear the words of the Minister. I have a presentation to share with you, which I hope I can now get on the screen so you can see it. Share. Yep. I can now share. Yes. Now, I think we can all see this and I can see you. So I'm very pleased to be here and to have an opportunity to be part of this joint lecture series, which is a great way of continuing collaboration with Indonesian partners. Can I say one of the unusual things, because we are all located separately in different countries, I can say here, recognising in Australia what we would always say, that we are here. I am meeting on the lands of the people of the Kulin Nations, and we pay here always our respects to their elders past and present. But I am pleased to be speaking virtually to you across the water to colleagues in Indonesia. Just a few things to say about Monash generally, and then to share with you how we are all dealing in this situation of a COVID pandemic. So Monash is, in world terms, a relatively young university, but probably in terms of the region in which we live, not so young a university. Established in 1958, taking its first students in 1961. Monash is now, although definitely not the oldest university in Australia, it is actually Australia's largest university, and we also have a presence on 3 continents beyond Australia. In Australia, we have 4 campuses, all located in the city of Melbourne, in different parts of that metropolitan location. And beyond Australia, we have 4 existing locations and 1, which is very important, in which we hope to take up residents in the near future. So we currently have a campus in Malaysia. We have a joint graduate school in China, in Suzhou, jointly with Southeast University. We have again a joint graduate and research academy in India, in Mumbai, with the Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay. We have a centre where we do quite a lot of engagement, both research and education, in Italy, in Prato, just outside Florence. And we are very fortunate that we were the first Australian, well, not just the first Australian university, but the first foreign university to be approved by the Indonesian government to set up a campus in Indonesia, and it will be, we hope, able to take its first intake of master's students towards the end of next year, when we hope the current impacts of this pandemic are behind us. Just like our campuses in China and India, the campus in Indonesia will be entirely postgraduate students, focused on postgraduate students and research, and we look forward to continuing our close collaboration with Indonesian university partners in particular, such as IPB. So we are very pleased that we will actually not be just collaborating across the water, but collaborating together on the ground in Indonesia. As I said, Monash is a large university. We have approximately 86,000 students, and they come from 150 countries. So we are a very multicultural university, and we value that diversity, and we are very committed to inclusion of diverse students and staff. We have a very strong alumni community, many of them in Indonesia, which exceeds 400,000 across more than 160 countries. And we have a lot of partner relationships because we value our relationships with universities across the globe. But we are particularly focused, as you can see, both in our campuses and I might say in many of our partnerships in our region, in the Asia-Pacific region, and we have a series of very important collaborations in Indonesia, and I want to talk particularly about our collaboration with IPB later in this. Monash is, although relatively young, a top 100 university in the world. We're ranked somewhere between 75 and 55 in the world, depending which ranking you look at, and you can read those rankings as easily as I can say them. So in world rankings, we rank clearly in that top 100, and whatever the ranking, whether it's QS or US News, Best Global Universities, or the academic ranking of world universities, or the Times Higher Ed, we have been growing in our research outcomes and our broad performance, which has lifted us in these international rankings. We're ranked 22 in Reuters' top 75 ranking of Asia's most innovative universities and #1 in Australia in that ranking. We have a number of subject areas that are ranked very highly in the world, and you can see some of them mentioned here. What is probably most to be pointed out in terms of those subject rankings, we are certainly, as you can see, towards the top in the world for pharmacy and pharmacology, and a number of our engineering fields, not just mineral and mining, which is listed here, but also chemical engineering, for example, are rated very highly. We've got either top rankings in Australia or top 50 or top 100 rankings in subjects that span science, technology, engineering, medicine, through to the humanities, economics, education, So we are a comprehensive university and we have high quality in a range of fields. And so we have a capacity and an interest in collaboration, and we have high quality research and high quality people engaged in those fields. We are very proud also of our student body. From our domestic student population, we've consistently recruited from the highest achieving portions of the domestic student population. And for our students overall, whether they are from Australia or from outside Australia, we have among the highest. We're definitely in the top 3. It depends whether we're 1, 2 or 3 in retention of those students and their success. So we like to say that we have very, very capable and able students. When they come, they tend to succeed and stay with us and graduate, which is what we wish to do. But we're also very concerned to be inclusive. In our domestic circumstances, that means we put a lot of scholarships and a lot of attention on students from disadvantaged backgrounds, from lower socioeconomic backgrounds, and we also pay a lot of attention to our Indigenous Australian students. And we have been increasing our enrolment of students from those disadvantaged cohorts. When we talk about students who are socioeconomically disadvantaged, we also are increasing our scholarships for those students who come from overseas who also are disadvantaged. We have a significant international load, much smaller at the moment than normal because a number of students have not been able to come to our shores, but we have a number studying with us online outside Australia who've been unable to come to us. Typically, if we didn't have closed borders, we have a lot of exchange. And in fact, we send a lot of our students to Indonesia for periods of exchange, and we've had a very significant number of students coming into Indonesia and being engaged in Indonesia and learning there and learning about the Indonesian context. We are the leading university in Australia for securing internationally competitive research income. So we rank in the top 2 or 3 in Australia in research income and expenditure. But I think what is telling is that we are able to actually compete effectively internationally in the United States and in the UK, both through philanthropic competition and also with areas like the National Institute of Health and the National Science Foundation in the US, and to be successful in obtaining grants in that context outside our Australian borders. We also are among the top 3 in Australia in our engagement with industry and industry research projects, and so that has continued to grow. So, like all of you, we have been dealing with the pandemic. We put a crisis management team together on January 26th, and that was the beginning, and it has been meeting very regularly, at least every week, since January 26th, to manage both our initial responses to the pandemic and also our responses now as we're starting to reactivate our campuses. Because originally we first had to deal with the fact that a large number of our international students were not able to come to our borders. And that was our first step to transition to online, so we could support them because they couldn't come into the country for face-to-face teaching. We have taught all our students online through this first semester because then effectively the whole country shut down, and so we weren't just dealing with students outside Australia but students inside Australia. We've put a lot of time and effort, which isn't written up here, into individual support. In that first instance, when the students couldn't come to campus, we put together for students outside Australia, 7,000 personalised study plans. And we have maintained regular contact with all the students outside Australia as well as the students inside Australia by phone and all sorts of other digital forms of communication, and tried to give them the sort of personal support that's necessary to succeed when you're dislocated from your classmates as well as from your teachers. In Australia in particular, our international students faced considerable hardship, as did a number of our domestic students. The university put in place a $30 million student compassionate and hardship package, and we have been distributing that to students. I could say hardship has been so significant that one of our significant philanthropic organisations, whose leader is an alum of Monash, has been providing really hundreds and indeed now thousands of free meals to students who are facing financial difficulties and hardship. So we've had to deal with students' well-being, financial, mental. We've put a lot of time and effort into supporting students' mental health, their overall engagement with us I've talked about, and we've transitioned, as I said, to online learning. The other thing we have done is changed a whole series of policies to look at how we can deal with the dislocation that students feel and amend our policies to take account of the disadvantage they're facing, both in terms of how we are going to deal with students who aren't able to complete their final years of school this year in the way they might have expected, and students who are actually studying in more difficult circumstances. And so we've looked at how we deal with assessment and grading policies. We've not only put all our teaching online, we've put our exams online, and we have our own platform for e-assessment, and we've added to that our own developed platform for remote invigilation. Because of our size, that means we have been able, and we have just delivered successfully tens of thousands of exams to tens of thousands of students, remotely invigilated and online, to enable them to complete assessment. We're doing all we can to support students wherever they are, whether they've returned home to a remote rural region in Australia or whether they are in a remote rural region of a country elsewhere because they're an international student who couldn't come to us. We had done a lot of work in online education. We were able to look at that, but we have had to make a very fast and significant transition, and I must say that staff have done a magnificent job, and that has been acknowledged by many of the students. And surprisingly, you might find that our students who are offshore and overseas have been among the most satisfied or happy with the quality of our teaching, which you might think is counterintuitive, but there it is. We've put a lot of time and effort into personal study support, as well as trying to make all our online teaching engaging. We've also done a lot in research. We didn't ever close our medical research labs. They've remained open the whole time, and you can see all the things we're doing here in terms of different areas of medical research, from structural biology through to new therapeutic pathways, testing new drug candidates, being part of teams working on vaccines. We've done a lot of work in other areas, like working on social policy, for example, around domestic and family violence, which has been something that has increased typically while people have been locked down in many, many countries. And we're looking at learning from what we have observed in changes of behaviour, whether it's how climate has changed, how transport has changed, how people's living experience has changed, to learn from that. And so we kept our labs open the whole time. We've built our research around asking about these questions. We've subsequently, in reactivating the campuses, opened the rest of our labs, and we are now getting prepared to bring more of our students back on campus through winter semester and summer semester. Just to speak briefly about the things we really appreciate in working with IPB. You've been a founding member of the Australia-Indonesia Centre. It's a very important centre in Australia, funded, as you know, on the Australian side by the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade. We have been very fortunate at Monash to host this centre for the whole of Australia and to engage with such a number of other Australian universities and Indonesian universities on a series of quite targeted and I think very important research programs. And it has built levels of collaboration that I think would otherwise have been much more difficult to build without this concerted effort. We were very fortunate last year to have secured ongoing funding from the Australian government for the Australia-Indonesia Centre. So I look forward to these collaborations growing. The research collaboration that has been most important to us with IPB is the Urban Water Cluster Research Program operating in Bogar. There have been a series of co-publications in relevant areas, chemical engineering, policy and admin, urban and regional planning. There have been a series of delegations and visits, which now we're doing things virtually, but have been able to be done face-to-face before that, and I'm sure will be again. I think this whole area of work and research that has been sponsored and is working in collaboration between Australian universities such as Monash and IPB in Indonesia, I think these areas of water sustainability are among the most important that we are jointly working on, and I look forward to them continuing. And finally, I know that in this joint lecture series, as we try to work our way through building out, we are looking at a series of other areas beyond water, obviously taking into account urban planning and design, which is, which water is critical, but looking at new areas, how we understand crises, what data science can do to help us work through the issues we're indeed facing now, issues of not just water as we see it flowing across our land, but the water that surrounds the masses that are Indonesia and its many islands, and Australia, which is just one big island with a small one tacked on the end. Looking at logistics and supply chain, food security is very important, and health, society, animals and the environment. I'm really looking forward to future work. I think that Indonesia is one of the most important places with which we should be engaged, in which we are engaged, and in which I hope to deepen our collaborations. And I look forward to, in fact, our continuing engagement. And I want to thank you again, you, our colleagues at IPB, and particularly the Rector, and to thank also the Minister for taking the time to introduce this series. So thank you.
Joining us, our Rector, Professor Dr. Arif Satria. His constant support and encouragement of the activity in our university has been integral in ensuring that IPB Bogor Indonesia is recognized as the premier university in Indonesia as well as in the world. Professor Arif is the first winner of the GIFRS Yamamoto Prize and also received award from both the Ministry of Education as well as the Ministry of Marine and Fisheries. Not only the leader in the education field, but he is also well known in our university for his magnificent guitar playing as well as songwriter. I believe maybe we will show later on, not this event, he will play guitar and song his sing. Professor Arif, now the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Nunung. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable Minister of Education and Culture, Makarim, Nadiem, and President and Vice Chancellor Monash University, Professor Margaret, Gardner, President Board of Trustee IPB University, in our right side, Professor Gus Bastato, and also Mas Nunung, Dean of Faculty of Economics and Management, Professor Nuryartono, all participants, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of IPB, I would like to express my gratitude and appreciation for your participation today, launching joint lecture IPB University and Monash University. And I'm very pleased to thank you, Professor Margaret, for your kind cooperation. And I think it is very timely for us to get hand in hand in promoting higher education, research, and innovation. Ladies and gentlemen, let me talk briefly about the towards Techno-Social Entrepreneurial University. That's because now we know that IPB Future has directed towards Techno-Social Entrepreneurial University. I remember what already Darwin said, that it is not the strongest species that survive, not the most intelligent, but the ones most responsive to change. Now we are dealing with the change. So I think VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity become our new environment. And we have to deal with this situation. And we require the particular skills like future orientation, adaptive mindset, engagement, flexibility. Like now we are in the era of COVID pandemic. Flexibility is very important. I think I heard from the experience in Monash University in the process of transitions to totally change for online learning, as well as in IPB. And also collaboration, I think, become more important because to deal with the uncertainty, we cannot be alone. We have to create the collaborations with many parties. Ladies and gentlemen, as we know that in Future Skills 19, some countries already map what kind of skills we'd like to prioritize. The first is like for Australia. Like Australia prefer using adaptability and flexibility and also critical thinking. India prefer innovation and creativity and critical thinking. Singapore prefer critical thinking, while Japan focus on communication and collaboration. How about Indonesia? Indonesia identify at least 5 or 4 new skills we have to develop, like critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity. As you know that, like Jack Ma said, the future is not about the competition of knowledge. It is a competition of creativity, competition of imagination, competition of learning, and competition of independent thinking. Ladies and gentlemen, IPB has the new vision. Our vision is to become a foremost techno-social entrepreneurial university to strengthen national dignity through global excellent higher education in tropical agriculture, marine, and bioscience. And now I'd like to let you know about our history. Actually, we were established in 1927 under Dutch administration. The Middelbaar Landbouw School Putterzong, that is our old name. And then in 1940 become Landbouw Hogeschool School. In 1993, IPB officially become as the independent university in September 1st with 5 faculties: veterinary medicine, fisheries, animal science, and forestry. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now in five campus. And we are located in Bogor. And Bogor, I think you know, Bogor is recognized as the city of rain. And we have faculties and schools, like Faculty of Agriculture, now veterinary medicine, fisheries and marine science, animal science, forestry, agricultural engineering and technology, mathematics and natural science, economics and management, human ecology, graduate school, business school, and vocational college. And you know that IPB have the 29,000 students, the student body, and we have international students. And this is the area of our campus, and more than 200 global networking, and so on. And 28 international accreditation for study program. We have 24 research centers, and 6 of them are national center of excellence, and we promote to get the international collaboration. Ladies and gentlemen, how's about IPB reputations? I'd like to say congratulations to Monash University for your excellent achievement in ranking. In QS, Wood University ranking by subjects, agriculture and forestry, IPB also included as the top 100. In 2020, our rank in 59. I think in the last 5 years, we are in the top 100 universities by QS ranking in subject agriculture and forestry. In Asia, for QS World Ranking 2020, we are in the number of 10. We are in top 10 Asia. In time higher educations also, especially for impact ranking, we are now in the top 100. Last year, our rank is 250, but now is 77. And for sustainable university in the world, by UI Green Matrix, our rank is top 40. And now we also promote the internationalization program in the IPB. Internations any effort to prepare our students for life and career in globalized environment. So we try to extend our collaboration with many universities in the world for mobility, for curriculum, and for other partnerships, including international classes in English credit earning program in joint research, joint and double degree programs, international seminar and summer course, extracurricular foreign language course, public lecture with invited foreign speakers. It is the interest, I think the interest is high among students to carry internationalization. You know that the mobility, inbound mobility for staff is getting increased, and then for outbound for staff as well as for the students. Because for staff, around 1,400 inbound mobility. I mean, we have the international guests. And I think it's very important to promote the international collaborations. And this our partners, probably with top 200 university worldwide. And thank you for Monash University and congratulations University for your achievement now ranking 55th under QS ranking. We are for overall Wood University ranking by QS increased from 600 to be 500 plus. Ladies and gentlemen, it is the number of the university in the world that we have the collaborations. And it is the current partnership on memorandum of agreement and memorandum of MOU in 2020. The numbers around 286, and the figure shows from the joint authorship that the stronger collaborators from Indonesia scientists are coming from Europe, Japan, Southeast Asia, Australia, and US. Australia in particular ranked on number 3 and still promoted to be number 1 collaboration in Indonesia, considering close geographical location. Establishing international research consortia is one of the important strategy of IPB to increase the research and publication. And the new research consortia are developed with many excellent universities with interesting research themes. Until now, there are 10 new large research consortia that have already been established. And strengthening collaborations, including research and education between IPB and Monash needs to be enhanced, considering intensive contacts that have been made. I think the area like deepening and widening issues of research under Australia-Indonesia Center, IPB is part of member of the consortium, and I think we need to have the long-term joint research on sustainability, inclusive development, and joint publication. And for education, I think also very important for us to develop, to promote the student mobility for implementation of Colombo Plan, double degree for magister, for undergraduate program as well as for PhD program, joint lecture for credit earning through online system, lecture mobility, and so on. And I think IPB University has involved as tier 4 partners as a new partnership under Race for 2030 for reliable, affordable, and clean energy. Contact with scientists from Monash University, led by Dr. Arif, has been intensified from previous project under AIC, and IB is proposing biomass energy from potential very short rotation of plantation. Our university forest, we have Gunung Walat, this Walat Mountain, will become the learning site of the project. And we hope this new projects can be. Ladies and gentlemen, now I'm going to talk about how I support our program in digital transformation in agro-maritime. As we know that agro-maritime 4.0, because now we are dealing with the fourth industrial revolution, and agro-maritime 4.0 applies widely to IoTs to create precision in agro-maritime resources management through artificial intelligence, drone application, robotics, blockchain, genetic engineering, nanotechnology, and many others. And there are many advantages or benefits are created by application of digital technology. And for example, for application agriculture, several applications of 4.0 technology that enhance precision agriculture, among others, multi-system to diagnose pests and disease, bioinformatics and genetics algorithm to invent quality seed, automation of quality test tool to avoid crop damage, identification of soil fertility using neural networks, and so on. And this is the application of artificial intelligence for agro-industry. And I think several applications of artificial intelligence for agro-industry has been developed, like for product, how to test the product quality by non-destructive quality testing. And ladies and gentlemen, now we are going to talk about the innovation management in IPB. IPB has already established IPB Science and Techno Park and supported by national government. And we get special support from the national government because IPB have the significant contribution to national innovation. As we know, the total innovation for 10 years is around 1,200 innovation. And as we know that around 39% of the innovation is coming from IPB. So IPB is leading university for innovation in the country, as has been evaluated by the most contribution by Business Innovation Center. And this is the Science Techno Park, and IPB Science Techno Park is one of the IPB flagship infrastructure to support technopreneurship. And also we develop a holding company for spin-off our innovation, for technology and business development, as well as for innovation intermediation. We already have the 250 tenants for technology business incubator, and also it is our outlets. Our innovations already developed in the market, and we have around 15 outlets of Sarvi Botani, that's our brand Sarvi Botani, in 15 big shopping mall in around Indonesia, and now we are still establishing one outlet in International Airport, Soekarno-Hatta, Jakarta. This outlet provide our innovation, and I think it's very, very good for us to get income, and also to promote our innovations to be one of the excellent product for the market, for the public. And because of our innovations achievement, we got national awards, as like Wiki Green Award, the best science techno park, and also we have the Wiki Abadi Award, is the most innovative university in Indonesia for 2 years, and then the best university for international research partner. And this award shows IPB continuous efforts to carry out the commercialization of research. And how about the innovation agriculture, food and machinery product? We also develop, we call Tani Center. Tani is farmer. IPB has been developing Tani Center, a digital platform of cyber extension that provide information and technical guides for farmers for various crops. On top of that, social and institutional aspects are also important factors that need to be encouraged through Tani Center platform. This platform enables knowledge transfer from university and community and encourage shared learnings that can stimulate creativity and critical thinking of community in response to change triggered by 4.0 technology. This is the example what already we already developed, Agro Technology Park. It is the description of business process of IPB Agro Technology Park. we have innovation on seed, for example, and then they provide seed for the farmers from the campus. And then the farmers, and then we also accompany and empower the farmers to practice the best agricultural practice, especially for papaya, for guava, for some vegetables. And then the farmers sell the products to IPB, and IPB have the cold storage and then packing of the product, and we distribute to 31 supermarkets in Jabodetabek, in Jakarta, in Jakarta, in Bogor, and I think in 31 supermarket, modern market. This means that the product of the traditional farmers now acceptable in traditional market. And also we already developed startup seed industry for padi. IPB 3S is the new variety we produced by IPB with the maximum productivity around 11 ton per hectare. This is the highest in Indonesia. And already distribute to 26 provinces in Indonesia. Another variety is pineapple. It's already exported to Singapore, and papaya Kalina. It is our products already distributed to 88 regencies, 38 cities in Indonesia, and already exported to 11 countries like Malaysia, Pakistan, Tanzania, Japan, India, Singapore, Brunei, Timor-Leste, Thailand, Philippines, and Vietnam. It is our machinery for palm plantation. I think it's very important to make the efficiency in harvesting. Our marine product and marine innovations. We have the sea farming and sea ranching. This is very important for us in develop 4.0 technology to combinations to make the combination between aquaculture and capture fisheries. It is the spirit of sustainability is very important in this program. And how about herbal health and medicine products? Because our competence also in develop the health product, herbal products like cocoa productions already commercialized. It is collaboration with international companies and also commercialized. And then produce vaccine. I think vaccine also one of our competence. Research of therapeutic vaccine for human papilloma virus, and then preliminary studies of new vaccine and candidates for malaria and HIV, and efficacy studies of new immunomodulator drugs, gamma interferon. And now also we IPB still looking for the new vaccine to overcome the issue of pandemic COVID. For avian influenza, we produce one vaccine collaboration with Japan company, and IPB developed the R&D and also developed the products, and all now the products already in market. So we established one company collaboration with the Japan company. We call IPB Sigeta, and I think this is very popular producing vaccine for avian influenza. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This our presentations regarding the story, the scope, and our expectation of the international collaboration as well as of our experience in innovations. And we hope the collaboration between IPB and Monash University can be strengthened, and we can have the cooperation in broader area, only in economics, but as well as in health, in other research for biology, economics, for business, and for because now IPB University used to be is the is the institute, but now we are in the transitions to become comprehensive university. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Arif Satria. And now we are come to question and answer. In my note, there are already some question for Professor Gardner and Professor Arif Satria. As you both mentioning that pandemic COVID-19 bring us more innovative and creative in delivering the lecture method. So the question is more or less related to what just we discussed. This question
is going to Professor Gardner. What platform you are using for online learning in Monash particularly? Maybe Professor Arif could also add the information. And I think this is facing by all universities all around the world, particularly if we are dealing with the practical or some laboratory. How do you deal with the practical lab during the pandemic? Because the students should still have a good goals of its courses. So how we are dealing with this important issue? Because a pandemic of COVID-19, such as like a tsunami in education, everyone have a creative way how to deliver the courses. And still related to the learning method, how are you assured students are not cheating on the exam? Because yeah, I think we facing all these problems. Yeah, these three questions, the participant hope that Professor Gardner could answer and give a response. And this is another important question for both of you, Professor Gardner and Professor Arif Satria. How can Indonesia and Australia universities leverage Indonesia-Australia Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement? I think this is a very important platform to bring us more forward. Soon, that to be enforced on 5th of July to strengthen cooperation between universities, students, researchers in us. So maybe you can give the point of view about this important agreement between two countries, particularly in Asia. I would like to give first opportunity to you, Professor Gardner, to give a response for questions.
Okay, so I hope I've got the elements right. So if we go to the shift to online delivery, which, so I think the first question was what platform we use. Monash at the moment uses Moodle, but we also have a lecture capture technology called Panopto. Before this pandemic, we already had a system where you could choose as a student whether you wanted to come to a lecture, not a seminar, but a lecture in person, or you wanted to live stream it, or you wanted to get it as a replay. So we already had that system in place. So when people couldn't come into lecture theatres in person, people could move to, and we did a mix of live streaming and replay. We have managed to innovate quite a lot in the face-to-face seminar spaces as well. So for example, we teach music, and music is not, and performing arts are not seen as things that are actually easily dealt with other than face-to-face, and yet the whole of the music program was translated online. And as you will know, if you've been watching, I don't know, pop music or classical music or anything recently, that whole ability to shift and be able to allow people to play together simultaneously. So innovations that allowed the sort of delay that often sets up in these digital environments so that people could work together. So we managed to innovate in that most, if you like, practical and face-to-face of music. We also took a lot of our laboratory work online. We tried all sorts of different formats, everything from first-year chemistry through to anatomy. And so a lot of that we managed to get into an online format. Now, there are a series of clinical skills and laboratory skills that you actually need, you really would ideally like people to have. In some cases, we've because people aren't able to get on campus because they're actually not able to physically come to the campus, we've managed to put some people in the lab and get them to work with a team of people who are online, and therefore one does the experiment and the others work with the data. Well, actually, this is really a lot of the way a lot of experimentation is going to happen in the future. So in some ways, this innovation is preparing people for the future. And finally, we have decided that a whole series of actual skills that we couldn't do in those innovative ways, that we put together in intensive blocks, and people will have to come to campus. But instead of having them spaced through a normal semester, they're coming in intensive blocks later because we're reactivating. We've already brought our final year students back to do some of those face-to-face labs. So I think that answers platform and what we've been doing separately. Are we worried about people cheating? No, we actually, so there are commercial products for remote invigilation of online exams. So our students were very concerned about third parties having effectively remote access into their homes through their computers. So we developed our own invigilation package, and so we are actually remotely invigilating the exams. So we are able to see a whole series of things. We can tell by your keystrokes if it's you typing in the answers. So we can actually detect if it's not the person who is normally doing it. So in fact, two things have happened with online exams. One, when we do paper exams, about 90% of paper exams go fine and students are there. And it turns out with online, the number went up to, I think it's somewhere between 93 and 97%. So that can turn out to be more reliable than the face-to-face paper. And as I say, the invigilation is, you might argue, the keystrokes are actually more able, as we discovered, to detect someone cheating. We can also see by the pattern whether someone's consulting something else. So in fact, we think our invigilation is stronger. So that's all those invigilation questions. And so the things we have learned, so we've learned a series of other things too. So sometimes students who are in larger classes feel that the teacher is not connecting with them. We discovered that with Zoom, it's entirely, or WebEx or whatever platform you're using, that they get a more direct connection with the teacher, and the teacher is more empowered to ask them directly a question. So it's actually, we're learning things about more directed interaction, lifting engagement. So we've learned a lot of things. We will bring some of that into blended learning in the future. We also want people to be face-to-face and get all those other experiences on campus, but it will change and bring innovations into the way we do things. I don't think we will ever go back. Well, I know. We will never do paper exams again, never. They've just stopped. So a whole series of things have stopped. So then to go, did you want, so that was that. Did you want to go to Professor Satria about anything else before the closer economic partnership? Or I'm in your hands. I'm looking for your direction on whether you want me to answer closer economic partnerships on or wait.
Yeah. Okay. Professor Arif, do you want to give? But the last question is regarding what is your opinion to enhance based on the Indonesian-Australia Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, because education, as what the Menteri Minister emphasized, is very important to bring up the level of development. Education is the pillar. So how do you respond with the coming of this ICPA?
Well, we were really pleased to see it because we already had many relationships in Indonesia, and we had and we had an office in Indonesia, and we had alumni, but we did not feel we had, we needed deeper relationships. We needed to be able to expand what we were doing. And generally, I think that's true of Australia, not just Monash. So, but Monash was very interested, and that is why we actually asked, could we have a campus, and why it's a postgraduate campus. Because with a postgraduate and research campus, we thought we could build not just the links from our researchers in our home campuses in Australia, but we could actually make those links tighter and tighter on the ground. We've found, I mean, it changes the way you interact with people, makes you more sensitive to the whole system. You're not just flying in and flying out. I think this is going to become even more important. So we think in the closer economic partnership in the education space, that there is room for stronger partnerships to build better collaborations for innovation. Innovation that will help both nations, but innovation that will allow us to deal with what are very big global challenges, which are very important in our region. And here, I would say across the board, climate, water, food, public health, really, really important, all interrelated, absolutely important challenges that in different ways both countries are really interested in, and where we will do better collaborating together. And also beyond that, I think that that in fact the combination of the two will actually help to build relationships across our innovation systems, which are otherwise, I think, quite separate and not linked together. And I think these are the advantages for both countries. Both countries, we can learn from one another. We can tackle big global challenges. I think we can tighten the links in our innovation ecosystems if we are on the ground. And we see from our point of view, it's our ability to be on the ground, feet on the ground, experiencing what it's like, being part of what is going on. And I say that because we've got campuses overseas, and we know that it changes the way you understand the whole set of relationships and the whole set of possibilities, and the way you actually even conceive of global problems change. You just do not look at them through the same lens. So I think that it's an important part of building innovation ecosystems, and it's an important part of building collaboration. And fundamentally, you don't get closer economic partnerships unless you get to know one another a lot better. And educations are really great through that.
Thank you very much, Prof. Gardner. Professor Arif, Satria, please.
Yes, Prof. Nunung, I think still with the Monash University, and we have the experience to change our learning methods from conventional learning methods to online learning. Then, based on our evaluation, I think there are some issues, especially for how to make the lectures become more interesting, and then how to increase the, how to overcome the issue of laboratory practice, laboratory work, because laboratory works cannot be replaced by YouTube or by online learning. They have to go to the field, to go to the laboratory to do something in practical ways. And I think between not only IPB, I think many universities, but also deals the similar issues. But I would like to give additional information about the priority of research IPB in deal with the issue of COVID pandemic. The first is it is this very six area about the test diagnostic COVID-19. It is the recent topic, and we already developed test diagnostic COVID-19. We do surveys for the Bogor citizens, and now until today we already test around 2,000 samples, and I think it's our role for community service. And also we develop VTM and other VTM and other particular kit for hospital, and I think it's very important to help our hospital in Bogor. And the second research topic is COVID management instrumentations. And now we are still doing research on early detection of COVID infection in group of people, patients, and then COVID-19 preventive drugs, ingredients. And because we have the research center for herbal, and now still produce some ingredients or drugs. It is very important to come the issue of COVID. And then medicine materials, and also we COVID-19 supportive drugs. We try to identify the ingredients derived from food and beverage, and plus one engineering model for COVID. Two weeks ago, we launched our new software we call COVID Solver. COVID Solver is established by Pak Iman Sugama, is one of our staff, and he will give lecture in our joint lecture tomorrow. I think it's very important for us to help Indonesian governments in trying to identify the modeling of COVID. Regarding partnership, economic partnership, I think for economic partnership between Austria and Indonesia, in principle, we have to develop the equal partnership in economics. As we know that, Australia has the very strong area of economics like horticulture, food, as well as animal production. I think the technology in Australia is very, very excellent, and I think it's very, very important for us in trying to have the transport technology for food, for the culture, as well as for fisheries production. Because Australia and Indonesia now also the member of Commission of Southern Bluefin Tuna. We get together in exploiting the fisheries, especially Southern Bluefin Tuna in Indian Ocean, and Australia, I think, take a lead as the country to manage the CCSPT, and collaboration IPB Indonesia should be strengthened in managing the area of Indian Ocean, especially for Southern. So, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Arif Satria. We still have some question. I see on the list of participants, NG Azizi raised his hand. NG, can you hear me? If you have a question, please ask directly to both Professor Gardner and Professor Arif Satria. Please. NG, can you hear me? Hello? NG? Okay, if it is not, we still have another question. Because digital now has become one trending topic. And the question is, will the digital trending stay permanently? Will the digital trending will stay permanently? How do you see the future model of university? Will they be fully replaced sort of certification program, or the university will shift to the skill-based education? This is the first one, and then the second one. Will the teaching model in the university will change dramatically? Even we already agree that blended learning in the near future maybe will be the best one of option to deliver courses. These two questions need your response. Professor Gardner first, and then followed by Professor Arif.
So let me take the second one first. So learning was already being transformed by the digital opportunities we had. So people were teaching face-to-face, but they're using a huge number of tools in that teaching, and some of those tools are digital. What I think has happened is that we have had a rapid upskilling of most of our staff in the ways they can use those digital tools, and they have learnt more about what will work and what enhances what they're doing. So I think that we already had a type of blended learning. I think the days of something being not at all blended are gone. So that I think everything will use what tools are available. I think that it's very important that people's undergraduate degree, which performs, depending on how that's constructed, a series of very important functions, and or first professional qualification, if they are qualifying, for example, which could be as an undergraduate or a postgraduate as an engineer or a lawyer or an architect. So their first undergraduate degree and or their first professional qualification. I don't think that for high quality education that we will move away, at least in the medium term future, that I think we will be more blended, but I think we will remain blended. That is, there will be face-to-face, in-person, on campus, in situ teaching, as well as virtual, digital, remote, asynchronous opportunities. I think we will be more blended than we were, but I think that personal interaction is important to those. Where someone, however, is gaining specialist knowledge that they're putting on top of an existing, what I'd call base, whether that's an undergraduate degree or a professional degree of some sort. So they're building a specialisation in some particular area of engineering. They're adding some specialisation around what they know in this field of economics. I think that sort of postgraduate work is likely to have a much higher proportion of totally online offerings. So anywhere where people are getting what I'd call potentially professional upgrade or specialist experience, which isn't based on getting a hands-on skill, I think that will be increasingly online. So that's what I will say about the teaching model. I think the things that we are known for in terms of those first professional degrees, those undergraduate degrees, will be more blended, but they will still be face-to-face. And then the first question was really much the same about digital training. I think the digital has got greater penetration. It gives us greater flexibility. It allows us, for example, to put into a class on international relations actually a whole group of people from the country that you might be studying at the same time. These are all advantages in enhancing digital ways of enhancing the quality of learning and interaction. And I think that's what the digital should be used for. And I think that we have only begun to fully experience that, but we've had a real acceleration because of what we've had to learn perforce in this pandemic.
Okay. Professor Arif, Satria, please.
Yes, I think the most important issue is not on whether we use face-to-face learning or digital or virtual learning. I think the most issue is about the role of teacher, the role of professor. The role of teacher is not as a source of knowledge again, but now it is transformed to be facilitator, to be motivator, and also the teacher has the role to inspire the students, because what we have already developed is how to produce our students, our alumni as learner, is the good learner, as powerful agile learner, because learner is very important to have the good adaptations, to adapt with the new situations, as well as to make the new trend. I think learners, learning skill, learner skill is very, very important. And another issue is about how we can strengthen our capacity to deal with the flexibility. Because, for example, based on our experience, for example, pandemic COVID started in March 2020, and then during 2 weeks, we have to shift from face-to-face learning to digital learning. So I think the capacity to deal with the flexibility is very, very important. If we don't have any capacity, I think 2 weeks, 1 month, 2 months is not enough for us to adapt with the new method, with the new situation. So I think now I think we can get lesson learned from our experience in pandemic COVID, how flexibility is very, very important, how the capacity to deal with flexibility is also very, very important. And the last one is Professor Margaret, as I know that in Australia already, and I read maybe one publication in Australia last year, that Australian governments already can identify at least there are 4 types of university. The first is we call champion university, is the conventional university, while the government still gives subsidy, gives support, and the certificate is still important. And then another is commercial university, while the certificate is still important, but the government subsidy is reduced. Another type is virtual university. And then the last one is disruptive university. Disruptive university is totally no support from the government, and as well as no certificate. And I think disruptive university one of the very, very new for us. I think I read last year publication in Australia, and also I think it's very interesting because in Indonesia also we have to make, or at least we have to identify what kind of university, what kind of the type of university we would like to develop. Because like Bogor IPB University, maybe is the research university. I think this is totally different with other teaching university. Because for university with the focus on teaching, I think have the different type with the research university or entrepreneurial university. And I think now, yes, we have to deal with the issue of kind of the typology. So each university have this particular focus, particular area for the future. And IPB already decide that IPB will become techno-socio-entrepreneurial university. And for techno-socio-entrepreneurial university, we have to develop or to establish the strong foundation on research first. Research and the innovation, and how to use innovation, utilization of innovation for the market, for the community, as well as for the industry and for the government.
Thank you. If you don't mind, Professor Gardner, because NG is still with us, so he really eager to ask something for both of you. So I will give opportunities. Last question for the participant, and I believe that there are still many questions, but we still can share this lecture. NG.
Hello. Yes, hello.
Yeah, please, short question direct to Professor Gardner or Professor Satria, please.
Okay, thank you very much before. Okay, I just want to ask about how to teach or techniques that are very effective in teaching online so that students are not bored. because we want to produce a student who have the best quality for their better future, right? So it's very difficult to learn now because very long time for COVID now, right? So I have sharing from you are how to techniques to teach the art to not our student not bored.
Okay, I think the question is clear, yeah?
Okay, thank you very much.
Time is yours to answer the question.
Thank you. One of, I'm not sure if it's on our website. One of the things I know they were working on, so we've got a series of a series of pieces of professional development that, so we did two things to try and help people when they transform to online. One, we put with every lecturer or every teacher their ability to get access to an educational designer, because you need someone who understands how the design works and can help you work through. So we deployed quite a big team of educational designers to help our teachers understand how to put it online, so they didn't have to. Some of them, you know, knew how to do things and innovated anyway themselves, but we helped a lot of other people that way. And we have a series of professional resources that are online that people can look at to give them clues about what things work, what things don't work, and the like. Broadly speaking, what I'm doing now doesn't work. That is, the disembodied talking head is able to be tolerated for only a few minutes at a time, as you have probably already deduced. So we put a lot of time and effort into making all our classes as interactive as possible. So it's actually people working on things in groups, talking to one another, switching the activities that people are doing very frequently. So the notion that you can stand up and give the 1 hour lecture doesn't happen online. You have to break things up into much smaller parcels and get more engagement. And so all those pieces of understandings were tied up either in our educational designers or in our online resources. And we have a lot, I think, probably available through our website, but I'm trying to, I cannot remember off the top of my head whether you can get access to it directly from the outside, but it's worth a try.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Arif.
Yes, I think there is a different issue between Australia and Indonesia, because I think all of the students in Australia have the good access for internet networks. And one of the issue in Indonesia is about the internet infrastructure, because Indonesia is very, you know, geographically spread, and that the issue of infrastructure still exists, and not all of the students in Indonesia have the good access for internet network. I think it's the key issues. So I think the national governments has the strong policy to provide the infrastructure for internet, and then to increase the access of the people for internet, because internet for lower income family, lower income student is still expensive. Yeah. And I think we need the strong policy from the government. And the other issues about our strategy in the new semester, in the next semester, incoming semester. In the coming semesters, we already decided to have the online lecture for all, especially for the particular study programs that needs practical or laboratory works. But mostly for me, because I did social science, my specialty is political ecology. For Professor Trigoyo is economist, yeah. For Nunung economist, I think it's not so it's not so problem. Yes, because we can teach anywhere by synchronous as well as asynchronous method. But for example, for animal science, for animal production, for biological, for engineering, they have to go to the lab to work and then to increase the skill, because what we did is the skillful students. And then we try to come up with the new policy to replace all of the laboratory works in the semester break. In coming semester break, in January, February, we will provide special service for all students that need laboratory work. And I think it is the compensation of the students who get loss of the access to laboratory works. And we know that laboratory work is very, very important. So we can conclude that online learning is not ideal, especially for hard science, but for social science, I think it's very. But for some aspects, online is very important because the students can repeat all of the material of lectures. They can enjoy, they can understand more about the lectures, and then also, especially for the lectures that's done by asynchronous method. Like we put our materials in YouTube or in our learning platform and so on. Thank you, Pak Nunung. Thank you, Professor Margaret.
Thank you, Professor Gardner, Professor Satria. Time is really flies like an arrow. Almost 1.5 hours, we've discussed digital, creativity, sustainability, innovative work. So I would like to, again, to all participants and ladies and gentlemen, this is just launching program. The first week of the series actually would be conducted tomorrow. So keep stay on our channel because our lecture also broadcast directly by YouTube. So everyone can access from Africa, Australia, America, or all over the world. And interestingly, tomorrow will be delivered by Associate Professor Campbell Wilson from Faculty of Information Technology, Monash University. And the lecture topic is about data science and human security. And our lecturer, Associate Professor Iman Sugema from Faculty of Economic and Management, IPB University, with the title Managing COVID-19, a Data Science Perspective. Two interesting and nutritious topics indeed. So I would like to give to, it is my honor on behalf of IPB to present something to you, Professor Gardner. And for sure, even we spare it in distance and time, but I hope you will like this small token from us.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Professor Satria.
It will make you surprised. So I hope as a token of highest regard that all your friends from IPB have you. All hope our friendship and professional dialogue continues for many years to come. Thank you from all of us here. And it is also another caricature from us to Mas Menteri. Any caricature? Or Professor Arif Satria caricature. This is for our Mas Menteri that also will deliver directly to Mas Menteri after this event. Another caricature can be shown here. All.
So, only two.
Another caricature still waiting. This is for Professor Satria, another caricature. And last but not least, this is nice caricature, and we do really hope when you come to our university Professor Arif Satria will show this caricature, as well as when Professor Arif Satria visit your office, this caricature in your office. Thank you very much, Professor.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Professor Satria. Thank you to all of you, and thank you for that wonderful caricature. It's absolutely terrific, and thank you, Professor Nunung. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Professor Gardner. Thank you, Professor Gardner. Your cooperation is very, very appreciated, and I think we can come up with the new initiation of the new area of collaborations, not only on education but as well as for research. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow in other lecture series. All participants, please stay tuned in our channel tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. until 3 p.m. Indonesian time. There will be another interesting joint lecture series, and will be followed by every Tuesday during July, and then we will follow with another month because it is not easy to preparing joint lecture series for the university. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow.